Okay. Hello. I am recording my Info 6044 Game Engine Project 2 demo video. The purpose of this project was to create a system for handling different motions and behaviors. In particular, a command to move to a waypoint, orient to, similar to move to, but for orientation or rotation, follow waypoints to follow a series of waypoints, follow an object, and location-based trigger. There were some other stuff that were bonuses, so I did not do those for the sake of time and my own sanity. And within command groups, they need to be able to handle serial and parallel commands, where the serial set goes through and completes one command after the other, while the parallel set executes all of the commands at the same time. With an additional requirement for the command groups and the commands is that there is some kind of unique ID to handle whether or not the command can be, or the command group can be added repeatedly. Thank you, Fortnite. Specifically, I'll go over that when I get there, but basically, I have been building this off of the final Space Invaders program that I made, and basically ripped out the main game chunk of that to add the animation controller and start adding the actual commands. And I don't need the Spike's ship stuff anymore because I don't have Spike's ship. So the main scripting thing, I just kind of based it off of the script loader that we worked on and were given in class. Basically, we create a command group which takes its unique ID at creation, make a bunch of commands, and initialize them, and then add the command group to the animation controller. So this first load animation commands that I built into, I added my move to command as well as the rotate to. The move to is a serial command, the rotate is parallel, so when the one button is pressed, the ship will move and start rotating, and when it reaches the end, then it rotates back to its original orientation. And then there's a second command group that follows the waypoints. So again, when you press run, it'll just do all of this one after another. Once the first command group is done, it moves on to the second command group. So the second command group is just the waypoints. And at the end of this video, I'm going to go through and show how to basically add a new command. And then I have this permanent command group, which only gets called once. And basically, this is for the follow another object. Once it's active, it doesn't stop. So within the animation control, it's a permanent group, at least for this project. I ended up making 2 location triggers because I misunderstood how it was meant to work the first time I read through it. So basically, the first one is a trigger command where it is added as a permanent command, waits for the specific object, in this case the ship, to reach a location close enough, and then it'll perform some behavior within the command itself, which I'll go over when I go through all the commands. And then the other location trigger command does the opposite. When any object gets within its area, the commands are generated. So I built the entities off of the shipyard builder and the Space Invaders stuff that we were given for the final exam. All of it inheriting from iShip, and the entity organizer, which is a single global thing. Keeps track of everything in the scene. Globals. Nothing's actually different there. And the mediator is just the one that we worked on in class, so it just handles sending and receiving messages on every object and the entities. So I'll just go through them in the order that they're filtered. So the follow object, when the command is created, the ship that is following and the target ship need to be set on as their own things. And then in initialize, we just initialize all the variables based on the information that is passed through the message. And then at the start, we start doing some math, in particular figuring out where the target is with the offset, grab the direction, and at our maximum speed start going in that direction. And then in update, keep updating the velocity to follow the ship. That's the target. And once the ship is in position, it just copies the target's velocity so it can continually follow it. Follow waypoints. For all this stuff, I decided to use time and calculate the velocity. So pretty basic header file in the initialize, we grab the first waypoint, which is the start position, and I just use a vector to keep track of all of them. Pull out the time that we have to finish in, and this could get removed, but it's fine. Go through and get the location of every single waypoint. I was doing the math in initialized, realized that when it's not the first command in a command group, or even the first command group, that the initialize is not where you want to start doing the math. It's where you're trying to initialize. So in start, we get the current position of our ship, find the total distance of all the waypoints, starting with the distance between the ship's current position and the start point. Create the speed, the velocity's magnitude that we would need to travel at, by dividing the total distance we have to travel by the timer. Figure out the direction that we have to travel in, multiply it by our magnitude, set our velocity, and at the end we set our velocity to 0. So basically once the velocity is set, it just keeps moving in that direction. So I check if the distance between our ship's position and the current waypoint is less than 1. If it is, then we calculate the next velocity and start moving in that direction. Move to in relative time, just the move to waypoint, but instead of updating the velocity every waypoint, it just waits for the timer and then ends off. Rotate to, I did the same math, basically treated it like the velocity, but with angles. So I was doing a dumb thing where after calculating this change per frame, which isn't change per frame, it's change per second. But I'm changing that right now because that makes a lot more sense. So this is the change per second. And then so if you figure out the distance between the current angle and the move angle, the angle that we're moving to, subtract it to get the direction, since I'm using Euler angles, normalize it, multiply it by the distance divided by the time that we have, and then in our update we add the change per second multiplied by delta time to the current angle until the end of the time. Makes a lot more sense when I call it change per second. Command weight I just left in, but it doesn't change. I'm not using it and didn't change from what we were given in class. Location-based trigger command, like I said, it gets a ship, and once that ship reaches a distance from its point, it does something. For this particular one, what it does is turn a light on. Excuse me. I think I muted in time. Yep. Turns the light on, and if the ship is too far away, it turns the light off. Then in main, basically anywhere that is going to activate the scripts includes I'm not including it here. Am I including it in global? That's probably not a good idea. Oh, no. No. That's not how it works. It's not a header. It is just the functions. So anywhere that you want to use a particular command group or command script, you have to make the function signatures in that class. So in main, I'm using the trigger command and the location trigger command. And because they both need the ship, after I create the ship so that the player ship actually has its ship, I make the trigger command. So it only gets made once anyways. And as I showed, which one was that? The trigger command uses the location-based trigger command with the player ship. And then the other command, the other location-based trigger, is after updating the physical properties of each ship, check if the distance is within 5 units of this location. If it is, then we activate the location trigger command using the current ship. So this will activate on any ship that gets within the nearby location. And the way that I get around that for the unique command groups in the animation control is that the unique ID is created by grabbing the ship's ID, the ship type as a unsigned in. This is mostly just for it's basically a placeholder for when I actually put in a unique ID on the ships. I kind of just realized about 20 minutes before recording this that I wasn't doing that yet. So basically, in the animation control, I think there were a couple things I changed. Update the current command group. If the current group is done, send an @end message. Erase the group if the group's not empty. Start on the next group. And update all the permanent commands. Because I added the unique ID, I needed to create a second create command group that would pass it in. In add command group, I guess I could check the unique ID when creating it. Oh well. That would screw everything else up. This would give me a null pointer then. I don't want to mess with that. Basically, if it's not the first command, check if the ID is 0, because if it is 0, I don't care if there's multiple of them. Then go through the vector of command groups. If the current command group is the same, unique ID is the same as any other, then we just early return out of the function without actually adding the command group to the animation controller. That's all I changed there. Command group. I think the only thing I added is the unique ID. And when I pulled this out of the I Love OpenGL, it was calling @end on all the parallel commands, which really threw me for a loop when my parallel commands wouldn't work. So that was a fun little feature until I fixed it. Update, go through, update the serial command if we're at the end, then we can finish it. then go through all the parallel commands and update them. If any of them is not done, then we don't want to delete the parallel commands yet. Once all the parallel commands are done, I did this in 2 steps just to be safe, and delete was causing me to throw access violations. So basically go through them, call all their @end messages, and then I go through and erase them all one by one until the beginning is equal to the end. And get unique ID because command group has that. So if you press 1, it'll play the load animation commands, and if you press 2, it'll cause the second ship in the scene to start following the player ship, which, let me see if I can quickly just enter. I'll just comment that out for now so that I have a bit of control. Alright, so as you can see, the player ship is black. That is because it is currently using the light. And I have this other ship. I am showing their base cubes because this is what the actual location of the object is. So if I press 1, my player ship is going to start moving towards I think 050, and then at the same time it rotates, and then it rotates back, and then it moves to, then it starts doing the waypoint. So now it is just doing the waypoints, and whenever it gets close enough to the origin, the light turns on, and the spin at the end there was the location-based trigger. So if I press enter, that starts happening, and my little alien guy is going to start moving, and he's not going to stop because I took out the stop, but now I can move the ship. So right, not using the UFO, that I just wanted to be able to okay, let's try that again. Without trying to access things that don't exist. Might as well start the game, see if it's broken still. Should be 20 seconds, so if it's gonna break, it'd be about now. Alright, I think it's gonna be fine. Spins. So now I have control, and I move the ship far enough away from the origin. The light turns off. If I move it back, it turns on. And if I get close enough to 050 or 500, then it does a little spin. Now if I move the ship over here and I press 1 again, it starts the same sequence of commands over. Moves back to that position, rotating. Once it reaches its position, it rotates back. and then starts following the waypoints. The other thing is the follow object. So if I press 2, it's going to keep getting overwritten. But the alien is trying, unsuccessfully, to reach the player ship. And it is too close because of the offset. So I have no way of turning that off. But if I bring the ship a bit closer, then it keeps trying to get to its offset. Probably a bit easier to show if I started it over without running that. I just want to be able to control the ship. So to be able to move the ship left and right like this, you have to press enter. And there's the location. I think it moves a bit too fast, so it can miss the location-based trigger. And he's getting closer. And once he's too close, he just matches the ship's velocity. So even when, it'd be hard to show, but even if the alien gets close enough to here, it won't flip, and I guess it never actually gets close enough to the other locations. So its block should be about, probably get it to about 60. So let's try 60, 100, 100. Too far. 60, 100, 100. How long is this? 27 minutes. Okay. Ah. Oh, shoot. And I forgot to move the camera, so that's all messed up. Sorry, gonna make one more change. I2. Set blocks. And set blocks 2. So I can still see it. Oh, it is not. Okay. I didn't actually look at what that location was. It'll move if it starts following the ship. I just want to see. So negative 100. 15. Oh, why don't I just see where I'm making it? Negative 110, 20. I'll put it right there. Negative 100, 10, 20. So, theoretically, if I made this right, and I wasn't testing it while recording, there we go. And it's just going to keep spinning because it's not moving. And if I hit 2, it'll start moving away. And once it moves away, its rotations got a little bit messed up, but it's fine. So just to show how this works, I'm going to quickly create a new waypoint command. I don't actually need to pass in the animation controller because it's global. But I'm going to do a C command group. Well, I'll just copy. Cutscene 2, bad name, but it's fine. Let's give it an actual unique ID. 5 should be fine. I don't think any of the ships use 5. So basically, you make a new command group or add it to an existing command group, and you create a iCommand for follow waypoints in relative time and start making the message. You need to initialize whatever ship is going to follow the waypoints. So how about I make this one for the little alien instead of the player. So it'll find the ship by its name, which is I2, and then the first waypoint, or the first push onto the vector F data, is the start point, the first waypoint that it's going to look for, as well as the time that it has to complete the program. So I think 10 seconds is going to be fine. So these are the waypoints. I'll just delete all but the first one. And this comment is unnecessary. So let's make the first one go to 10, 10, 10. Start at 10, 10, 10, and we have 10 seconds to complete this series of waypoints. So from 10, 10, 10, let's go to 10, 15, 30. And then from 10, 15, 30, let's go to 15, minus 10, 0. Make a quick stop at the origin before returning to the initial position. So just from the first and last waypoints, it's going to be hard to, or it's going to be pretty fast to do all of this. So that's fine. 10 seconds should be more than enough time. But now we have to actually call it somewhere. So need to make the function signature. Since I'm going to attach it to a button, I'll add the signature to the key callback. And if key JLFW key 3 and action is to press, that's not a 3, and I called it waypoint something, waypoint command, pass it the animation control, and ta-da, I have a new script. So now that alien, when I press the 3 key, should follow those waypoints. So I'm going to press 3, and he starts moving. He has to go all the way over there, move forward, back, down, and head back to its initial position where it's going to start spinning. And if I press 2, it's going to start following. So it's probably going to really freak out if I press 3 now. Yeah, it's not doing anything when I press 3. And because it's not working, everything else breaks. So do not press 2 and 3 at the same time. Perhaps, rather than use the same alien for 2 and 3, we add another alien. So, if this one is showing off the movement, how about we go on the other side? Viv 3 equals P shipyard. Dot back S data 0 to, let's use I1. Shipyard, make a ship. Using the invader. Receive the set blocks message. And add it to the entity. And that's an I1, so just making sure that the actual location block isn't hidden. Oh, no. Dang it. Forgot to actually change it in the script. That's not right. Find I1. So 2 should be spinning. 1 should be on the left. That's not right. But it'll serve its purposes. It's... oh, I know why. I think... oh. That's why? Because it's not actually being made as the right thing. Invader I1. There we go. Now it'll be the right ship. And how about we change that so that it goes back to its initial position. And because it's a serial command, it does stop the spinning until it's done. And it doesn't start moving until the spinning is finished. Should have realized when it was the same color as the other one. So, yep. And if I press 1, it has to wait for the other serial commands groups to finish. All the command groups are serial. It doesn't move on to the next one until the current one is finished. Otherwise, I think that's it. I'm going to write the README and clean this up and submit it. Thank you for watching. Happy holidays.